My name is Jason Williams, aka JPSLOUCH, also known as Broom. I've been making music since I was a kid. I think around 8 years old, and it's my passion. Along the way, I've met up with some pretty interesting characters, all with their own unique stories, views, and talents. This podcast show celebrates those friends I've amassed in my many years of ups and downs in this crazy trip that we all call life. Join me as I go 4 drinks deep with JPSLOUCH and pals.
How you doing?
Long time no see, man. What's new?
Nothing's new.
Nothing's new.
Nothing.
Everything
Well,
looks new, man. Well, welcome to 4 drinks deep. And,
Did you have time to eat, or?
I had time to eat. I had time to get 4 drinks deep. So yes.
Man, I didn't get any drinks.
Oh, well,
Was I
now you
supposed to
gotta
drink?
start drinking. Start drinking
Go
with
on.
me. So
Are you just
tell
starting
everybody.
right off the bat? No
What's
preamble.
that?
No
What's that?
preamble. Were you just starting like right off the
We're
bat?
just starting right off the bat. That's how
Oh,
we do
man.
it
Okay, give me a second.
here. So, Jared, I know you obviously, but tell the whole world who you are and what you do.
Oh shoot. I'm just a young boy from Redwood City who has crossed with yours a few times. We were roommates, but more importantly, we were friends. What do? I work in video production right now. That's kind of my thing. But I love writing. I love being creative. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like I remember
About
even at the days of high school, man, I was admiring you from afar, from all the crazy videos that you did. From even back in the days, like you were kind of like a pioneer when it came to videos and having a YouTube page. You're one of the first people I think that I've ever known to have your own YouTube page. It was called like Velcro Fathoms. Can you tell me what's the
Yeah.
name Velcro Fathoms? Where did that come from?
Shoot, that's kind of like a moniker I gave myself. I think, it was the 90s and I knew a lot of people with AKAs, aliases. And I think I read somewhere that Mark Twain got Twain from the measurement of water. So that kind of made me think fathoms. And then I was a fan of Jello Biafra. So what's another kind of product that's somewhat like Jello, but not edible is Velcro. It has a cool sounding name to it. So I just gave it to myself pretty much. It rolled right off the tongue. It rolled right off my frontal lobe.
It definitely does. It's very interesting. It's a good password to use because not that many people have Velcro Fathoms as. Although now I just gave out my password.
Is that your password? You give away
No,
all
it's
your
no, it's
passwords?
not. It's not at all.
Cool. Yeah, and like you said, I think my YouTube page is like 13 years old now at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely put your YouTube page in the link. So definitely people can go and check it out. Like it's been a lot of years of that stuff going on there, man. Like from a lot of people don't know this, but we used to be roommates and everything as well back in the days. We shared living quarters, and it was always an adventure hanging out with you and doing the everyday moment kind of things. And that's where I realized you were actually in a band for a little bit. I didn't even know that. Tell me a little bit more about the band that you were in and some of the stuff that you did and who was in the band as well.
Yeah, I was in Cuban Cigar Crisis for a little bit, and I played the bass. And it was Harry Cantwell on drums and Chaz Eden, the primary songwriter, singer, guitar player. And I actually got interested in music as like an offshoot of my interest in video, because I wanted to make a music video. So, you know, when I was in my teen years, I wrote and recorded a song just so I could make a video for it. Other than that, you know, I played clarinet in school. Wasn't I always liked being around musicians, but I didn't really have I wasn't really adept at music myself, just played like a little guitar. But when there were I was friends with Chaz, and when there was a opening in the band on bass, I said, hey, can I do it? And he was very reluctant, but you know, we had some practices and stuff. And I had you know, been to a lot of their shows, and I think I played like a boom box or a clarinet at one of their shows, just when they were kind of doing noise. But yeah, he gave me a shot, and so I played bass and was with them for about 2 records. For me, it was more about the hang and being around friends and kind of that aspect of it.
Let's do the song. If you ever go down to the shore, there you'll find a boat and oar. And if you row that boat across the sea, there's an island with a television celebrity. On this island you will see Velcro Fathoms sitting happily with his friends having cakes and tea. There you will be free.
And I used to be friends with this guy Curtis, who you knew, and I played a few times with him under his band Friendly Acres Audio Club. I played clarinet. I like 2 shows with him, and he recorded me on one of his albums. So I've always kind of been somewhat musical, but it's not like my primary passion or anything like that.
Well, I never knew that you did some jamming with Curtis Dickinson.
Yeah, I'll have to. I still have the tapes of our recordings. I'll have to try to get them to you somehow.
Definitely send that over, man. Curtis was a very interesting soul as well, man. Like RIP, miss that
Yeah.
man very much.
I
Very
agree.
cool.
Yeah, but I was always hanging out with musicians. Like before I knew you, I saw you in different bands perform and stuff, and knew of you that way, for admiring you from afar, like you said.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I said, there was always this like lore of like, you know, Jared, you always had, you had like this car in high school. I remembered it was very like just it looked badass and everything, and it was like all these rumors like this guy's like, you know, doing this guy's doing that, you know. And then I was just kind of like, oh man, that guy's cool, you know. And then I met you and you're even cooler, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
just living up to the hype is definitely, yeah, it was cool. It's
High
badass.
praise. High
Yes.
praise.
Yeah, and then but one of the cool things too, though, you were one of the ones when like I was living with you for a while. And you were like awesome enough to get my band at the time on your TV show that you had.
Mhm.
That was in Palo Alto. What was that show? And tell the audience about what that show was all about and what happened with that.
I'm trying to remember which show that was. I think that was Terrain Vague.
Yeah,
So,
Terrain
yeah.
Vague. Yep.
Yeah, I've always I've had several public access shows. I just love public access. And when I first moved to LA here, I was actually working at a community station for a number of years. So part of my heart's always, in that world. And Train Vague was more or less a talk show with like different segments and interviews. Kind of, you were a guest for an interview as well. And then occasionally, just because I could, I would, have special episodes where we record bands and stuff. And those were always kind of the funnest to do because I didn't have to do too much planning in terms of segments and stuff. And I could actually, instead of being on camera, I can direct, which, directing multicam is just a ton of fun for me. And multicam with music is a great experience. So yeah, that was a lot of fun for me, that one. I think we had you guys in front of a green screen, I believe. And so that was fun to edit.
Definitely. The editing is definitely challenging and fun, huh? Yeah, I bet you learned a lot from that though, going on. And then you eventually, like you said, you went to LA. And what caused you to go to LA? Like you had a lot of stuff going on in the Bay, but you decided to go on it and take everything and bring it to Southern California. Like, how was that process? And was it something hard to do? Was it a hard decision or something that you just knew that you always wanted to do?
Yeah, it was just pretty organic. Because I was one of those guys who didn't finish college until he was, a little older. So I just graduated film school, and my then girlfriend, now wife, she actually moved to LA a little before me because she had a job opportunity. So we kind of knew, like, I'll be coming out of film school, and LA is like a place where film TV happens. And my wife was already living there, so it was really easy. She had a place I could move right into. So I think it was probably like a couple days after my last class, I packed up a truck and came down here. Yeah, like I've always been into video, but in college, I really took a shine to writing. So I came down here with like the intention of cracking into TV writing, maybe sell some screenplays. But I learned that that's really, really hard. And so life had other plans for me. So I still write, but I'm lucky to be able to work doing with what I love, with video production, make a living that is provides everything I need. So life doesn't always follow the path that you think you're on, but you find yourself somewhere cool anyways.
Yeah, no, I remember some of the screenplays you bounced them off me and everything. Can you tell everybody like some of your ideas that you had? Because like I loved some of the ideas that you gave to me. Can you remember any of them?
Oh, yeah.
Give us a little like synopsis of like what they were and all that.
And I gotta say, you have some awesome movie ideas too. I love hearing. I wish I could remember some right now. Like you had some of the best movie ideas. Yeah, I wrote a screenplay about a diamond heist, but it's not a typical diamond heist. It's a brother and sister who want to propose to their girlfriends. So they plot a heist to rob a corner store jewelry store from kind of a do you remember those commercials in the 80s with Paul from the Diamond Center?
Yep.
I based the antagonist on him. So it was like kind of a comedy diamond heist. Then I wrote a screenplay that took place in the 90s. It was called, can't remember it now. But I forget what it was called. But it was called Teen Spirit versus the LAPD and other fascists. And it was this weird kind of these teenagers in the 90s through happenstance where they encounter this aged Nazi in hiding. A Nazi device actually like sends them through another dimension to like a mystical realm, and it has police fighting Nazis and things like that.
Okay,
So
I love it.
Out there. So
yeah, I love it. Wasn't there another idea you're saying something like with the Brady Bunch or something like that? I remember there was like some kind of a sequel or like something on the lines of that you were saying.
Maybe, I don't know specifically the Brady Bunch, but I have just lists of ideas, and some are fleshed out to treatments, and then some I'll write out to a full script.
So did any of these like come close? Like what was the process of trying to get these turned into an actual script? Did you go to studios or did you send them off, or like how?
No, like maybe they have these a lot of the studios on the TV side of thing have these fellowships where you can yearly apply for fellowships. So it's more TV though. So that's pretty much all that I did. A lot of the screenplays I've written, probably nobody except for myself has read, or maybe I used to have a writers group, maybe people in that group. So but you're right, it's very like a lonely experience when you spend months writing something, and not only will it not get made, but probably nobody will read it, and because of that kind of it's not bad, but because of that frustration of that, I did write something. No, there's one thing I wrote knowing from the outset that I was going to produce it, which was a 6-part TV series, Home Time.
Coming this fall to the Arroyo Channel, Home Time, the new model of the all-American family. Oh, it's funny. Trust us.
Trust?
Trust.
There will be laughs.
No one could doubt this. How could they?
Surprises.
Surprise!
Intrigue.
That is interesting. What else?
And sentimental moments.
Dad, please, what are you not telling yourself?
Yeah, things seem to be going pretty well here.
Tune in or else.
I tear your head off.
So come on home to America's new sitcom family.
Home! I'm inside my home! I'm home!
Try not to enjoy this too much.
Coming to the Arroyo Cable Network, Home Time.
Which I think you watched.
Oh
And
yeah.
that I kind of said to myself, I'm gonna bake this idea that I can, even though it'll be hard, I'll kind of corral the resources to execute it and put it out so I can actually have the experience of making something. So it's rough around the edges, and nothing came out exactly how I envisioned it, but there was a lot of happy surprises, and some things came out better than I could have envisioned them. And it was a 2-year process to shoot and edit these 6 episodes, and that was really rewarding. And since my son's been born, I kind of eased off the gas a little bit on my writing. I don't write as much as I used to, and I'm trying to write more in the vein of something I could potentially actually produce myself. So no kind of like smaller ideas that don't have the big action sequences and setups like some of my earlier scripts.
Yeah, well, going back, so I was about ready to get into Home Time, because like you were saying, so I picture you being in LA, right? Moving to LA, you got your scripts, you're selling them on, and you're saying you're not getting any traction. And so that's what I was going to go into with what was the word I'm looking for. I guess like it was kind of hard to go and just produce your own thing. Were you saying, okay, Home Time's something that I believe in, that I'm going to go and produce myself? Or was it like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to try to do everything myself and see what happens. Like, what were you thinking with that whole process of doing Home Time, and how did you cast it, and how did you get everyone together for that?
Yeah, it's interesting because you look at and this is like the producer side of my brain. You look at the resources that are available to you. So I was working in a TV studio, so I knew I could get about 8 hours of studio time a month. And I knew from a show I had done previously called Quality Sketch, and some sketch writing classes I took. I was acquaintances with a number of like actors, comedians, things like that. So casting it was really a matter, and even writing it, for certain roles I had people in mind for them. For I knew to keep locations down to 5 or less locations, something that was manageable for me to produce. So some of the people were cast just off of, tapping their shoulder and saying, hey, what can you do you want to do this? And then, I got one actor from Instagram. I'm trying to think. I found the man who played the antagonist. I had just met him, someone else. I forget how we were introduced to one another, but I just thought he was just such an interesting guy. He's an older gentleman. So I asked him just because he struck me as so interesting. But I didn't put out any casting calls or anything like that. It was mostly just tapping people on the shoulder.
Shoulder tapping, the best way to get anything done, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Well, dude, like, that's amazing, man. Like, so you're in LA, you produce your own show and everything. It comes out. So what are the feelings that you're watching it going through? It's like your baby coming to life. I know with me, with doing songs and everything, having people listen to it, you're a little bit kind of like, as they're hearing it. And you're always really critical about your stuff, everything. How did you feel with the opening of it? And did you have like a big opening or anything? Or did you just kind of watch it just with the cast and all that?
No, not even that. I just kind of started editing it and putting them out, maybe a month or 2 months apart from one another. It was shot out of sequence. And we also shot, we didn't shoot like eight days in a row like you typically would with a show because of the nature of the studio I was using. We actually had to shoot like, maybe 2 days in a row, then it would be a month before we had studio time. So we were shooting for 6 months, but only 8 days. But I had a lot of footage I can kind of pre-assemble and edit along the way. So when it came time to start releasing it, I was kind of just so exhausted from the process. I just started putting them up. So, by the time episode 1 was posted, we still hadn't finished shooting stuff that would come in later episodes. So no fanfare really. And it's kind of like, being in an underground band, you feel like you're pulling teeth out just to get people to listen to it. So it's a similar thing where it's like, you feel like I'm asking for a favor if I ask someone to watch it. So I kind of just resigned to kind of putting it out there and seeing if people came to it. And for the most part, they didn't. I wouldn't say it was a roaring success. Nothing of it went viral or anything, but like a few people really dug it. I got a stalker out of it. Someone started stalking me online.
Wait, what? You got a stalker out of it? Tell me about that.
And this was like a 2-year thing. This kid, I think he was from New York. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know what his name is. He started calling me, and he was at first really nice. He called me once and I talked to him a little bit, but then, I had to go, and he was texting me, and it was kind of like, oh, I want to be a screenwriter. Can I ask you for advice? But he just didn't stop. And the questions, he would go circular and keep asking the same question. So I just said, look, I can't continue this. And after like the first 2 days of him contacting me, I just stopped answering his texts and stuff. Then I started blocking his numbers, and he would start calling and texting from different numbers. I don't know how he did it, but I look on my phone now and I have 20 blocked numbers. Those are all his numbers. And by like the second year of it, he started like emailing me like really threatening things and horrible things. And eventually he just stopped, but it took about 2 years. So although Home Time didn't find fans, it found one very rabid fan.
Well, that's all it takes, one big rabid fan, John Lennon also had a big rabid fan too. So
I'm lucky it didn't go that far, but
yeah. Well, is there any plans for Home Time to like get revived? I know it ended kind of on a note, but is it gonna continue, or do you think that you have like another season in you to do it, or what would you plan in the future of it?
I feel like I said what I wanted to say with that, and a lot of the themes I presented in that show, I was happy to see kind of resonate in the larger culture. So I feel like I was like on the beginning tail of some form of a zeitgeist that was out there. But I'm always kind of like, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm a person who, I'm like a vomit artist. I like to have ideas, generate them, and then kind of move on. So I'd like to do another show. I'd like to, do another short film, or I'd love to make a movie. I have a number of friends who've independently made movies. And so I've seen a lot of how they've done it. And so someday that's a goal of mine to do that as well. But nothing on the immediate horizon. The big project in my life the last couple of years has been my son. So he was born in 2020. And so I'm just pouring so much like love and energy into that. And, I used to have this like be possessed by this kind of creative drive, which I still am, but it was all consuming where, I'd force myself to get up at 5 to write. I'd stay up, past midnight working on something, and I'd be racked with guilt if a day passed and I hadn't edited video or shot video or written something. And that's kind of gone now. I feel like I'm putting a lot of energy just into like being a dad and hanging out with him. So it's like very kind of relieving, and I feel kind of calm for once in my life. I also got on Lexapro. I don't know if that has something to do with that too. But.
You're gonna be in one of those commercials now. Now you're on Lexapro. No, but like it definitely is different though, right? When you have family and you have your kid. I don't have any kids if that I know of, and like
you'd be a great dad.
I don't know. It's a lot of responsibility. That's the thing, man. Like, I figure I can't find, I lose my keys all the time. Like, how am I gonna, find this kid all the time? So
yeah. You can't lose them. That's
you can't lose them. How do you not lose them?
It's tough, honestly.
Especially
when they start walking and running, it's tough.
Yeah, I've always known. And my one question I always have for parents is like, there's always like, a random shoe I see lying in the road and stuff of a kid's shoe. And I'm always wondering, do kids always just have one shoe on, or is it just like?
No, I think it's because the shoe's always falling off. And we've definitely had points where like I'll be carrying him or something and a shoe will fall off and someone will say, oh, hey, wait, and stop us. But we haven't lost a shoe yet, but we've been like this close dozens of times where he just kicks one off and it goes flying, that sort of thing.
Yeah, man. Kid, I love them, can't have them myself. I don't know. He would grow up to be crazy. I don't know that.
Yeah.
For sure. But before we get into shots, I want to definitely touch on the fact that one of my favorite things I've seen you do on your podcast is your Doritos, the ones that you do. Tell everybody about that and where that came from. And yeah.
Well, the origin for that was kind of like just what we were talking about, where being a parent now, I found I didn't have the kind of free time that I used to, where I could spend hours and hours doing something, but I still am like a creative person. So I asked myself, what's a project I can do where I can kind of pick it up, set it down. It's not a huge time commitment. It might take like, an hour to set up, shoot and break down, and then an hour to edit, that sort of thing. And so that's where that came from, is like, I've always had an earnest love of Doritos, but I also kind of have a love of the YouTube review format. So I kind of look at it as it's actually like a parody of that. So who I am in the Doritos videos isn't who I really am. It's like a twisted version of myself, a little more naive, a little bit stupider. Maybe he believes conspiracy theories. So I'm trying to weave in like almost other storylines into them. And those have been on pause because I've had a hectic few months, but I'm actually gearing up to do a whole run of new ones. I have a better camera to shoot them on now. And I have like 20 videos planned and lined up.
Nice.
So that's kind of what that was. It was, again, it's looking at like, what resources do you have? What can you execute? And my time resources are limited. but a bag, these don't take a lot to make, and a bag of chips is really cheap. So yeah,
You're-
so you can, there's more Doritos videos on the horizon.
I hope so. I love those, man. Okay, so when you were doing them, favorite Dorito, the favorite
Mhm.
flavor.
That's ultimate cheddar, no doubt. And I covered that in two videos. It's a flavor they drop almost, I think like once it premiered like 3 or 4 years ago, and they tend to drop it once a year, I think in the fall. It'll just appear again in the store. So ultimate cheddar is amazing. Historically, my favorite is Jumpin' Jack cheddar, which was from the 80s. Jay Leno advertised them. It went away for like over a decade. And recently, the last 10 years, it seems like every couple years they'll put it out again, just for like a minute. And I'll buy it every time they put it out. But the sad thing is the recipe's changed. It's not quite the same. It's like a little bit more buffalo spice, a little spicier, not like that sharp Monterey Jack kind of flavor like it was in the 80s.
And then now the worst.
There's a lot of really bad ones. For me, like if you've seen the videos, you know I don't like spicy. So like they're almost like all tied for really bad. And there's ones that you would think were bad, but I actually enjoyed them, like the Mountain Dew flavored one. I thought was
Mountain
gonna
Dew
be terrible.
flavor.
Yeah, I have a video on that. So there was a Mountain Dew one, and I actually enjoyed it. But for me, it's got to be one of the spicy ones is the worst.
I mean, so where do you find it? Like, because a lot of them are, like you said, they're discontinued, and also, how did you find these
Yeah.
flavors?
There's sites where you can order international snacks. So a lot of them, I'll order them from other countries. They'll come through these companies from other countries, like a lot come from Korea, Japan, a couple Turkish flavors. The Mountain Dew Doritos actually came from Australia. That was an Australia release.
Wow.
So you kind of have to scout like what's going on internationally with Doritos.
Definitely. So it's a process, pretty much what you're saying in making these videos.
I actually have done like a lot of research on Doritos, and there's a store in like South Central LA that sells international snacks too. So I'll pop in there every once in a while.
One of these days, maybe Doritos will get you as their spokesperson.
Yeah, I joke about that in the videos, but I think I've given too many poor reviews to their spicy flavors.
Jared Hodgkin, the Dorito connoisseur.
Karaoke, like you were one of my favorite people to karaoke with.
You know what? That's one thing. Okay, I didn't ask you about that. So
that's fine.
I do know that the art of karaoke now has grown from leaps and bounds since I first started doing it and everything back in the days. I remember there was only like about maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 people that used it as like an art form and a craft. And you were definitely, probably out of everyone I've ever seen, the most amazing karaoke singer ever.
Oh, that's high praise coming from you.
No, straight up, like you are like the best. So three questions I have for you, and you can answer them in however way you want to. 1, how do you go about the karaoke thing? 2, what are your go-to songs? And 3, what was the best performance?
Oh shit. I'm gonna try to remember all those questions. Go-to songs, you have to read the crowd kind of. And like if it's a cold crowd, you might just work on songs you want to try out and just please yourself. But if it's a hot crowd and there's like people are having a lot of fun and it's a party atmosphere, you want to do a song everyone knows and everyone likes, but it's not Journey,
Yeah.
So I'll do like, Prince, Raspberry Beret, which is a little cliche. I'll do Temptations, Ball of Confusion. There's a couple David Bowie numbers I like. If a lot of people are dancing, I'll do like Let's Dance, but I really love singing like, Ziggy Stardust and things like that. I love singing Amy Winehouse.
Oh yeah.
I like cross gender stuff. Like, so in that respect, I like These Boots Are Made for Walking, you know, and it's all about the energy you put into it. Trying to think of a favorite karaoke performance. You know, I don't, there's so many. I think, and I have a video of this on my YouTube though, but I think like I had so much fun in New Orleans. I was kind of, I was friends with these guys, Planet and Radar, and they're from Louisiana, and they were showing me around. And it's like there's something magical about New Orleans when, you know, it's broad daylight. It might be 11 in the morning, but everyone's drunk, and you could just walk into a bar in broad daylight, sing a karaoke song. And my friend took a video of it. I did Raspberry Beret in New
Nice.
Orleans, and the crowd loved it. You know, afterwards, everyone is patting me on the back and that sort of thing. And for me, I think like I really gravitated towards karaoke after a company party that had karaoke at it when I worked at Long's as a teenager. And I gravitated towards it because I always admired singers and I wanted to be a good singer, but I thought I had a terrible singing voice. So when I came at karaoke, I started by doing impressions. Like I would try to impersonate the way the original singer's voice sounded. But then over time, I can still do that, but I found my own voice, and I found that, you know, there are things I can do with my voice, and I learned how to use my voice. So it was like just a really good tool to like help me access something I wanted to be good at. But also I think capitalism and, you know, patronage before that really kind of corrupt art, you know, because we're in this system where you constantly have to have new songs, new artists, be original all the time. Whereas, you know, in the past, humans had stories that we shared. We had songs that we shared that were common, and they belonged to everyone. And even in the early 20th century, you'd have these popular songs and maybe several recording artists would do them. But nowadays, it's just like a churn, and it always has to be new. Where I think, you know, creation and culture, whoever puts it out there, it doesn't necessarily belong to them because they're tapping into something that's in the common ethos that we all share, and they're reflecting it out there. And I think people have a right to use it. So I think, to me, karaoke is almost like one of the highest art forms, because it's taking something that's a unit of capitalism, and it's allowing people to appropriate it, to use it themselves. And
Totally.
it's building like this common body of human music that we can all share.
Definitely. All right. Are you ready for some quick shots?
Yes.
All righty.
I don't have a shot glass though.
Yeah, but you know what? They're just questions, so it's gonna be all right. So the first thing I always start
warm
with.
beers. These
Yeah,
are
yeah,
warm
we need
beers.
more beers. Actually, I didn't even ask what you're sipping on.
These are warm beers that were sitting in my garage from
Mountain Time.
7-Eleven. So
Nice.
they're warm right now, so I don't know.
What would it taste like if I was, you know, how would you describe it to me as a taste?
I'm no beer connoisseur. You know what my favorite beer is? I don't know if you remember. Miller Lite.
Oh yeah, Miller Lite. Yeah, I'm Coors Light. I'm a Coors Light guy. Definitely. But right now, I'm drinking this thing right here, so I don't know if you can.
Oh,
even
nice.
that. Yeah, it's delicious. It's delicious. But first and foremost, so what is your favorite pizza topping?
Salami.
What's the worst concert actually you ever saw?
Oh God. It was at a festival. I think Tom Petty was just like,
Oh my God, really?
he was going through like a Jesus phase or something.
What? Oh
Yeah.
man.
But I'll say this, I went to a jazz festival last weekend, and it was really bad. It was like I like jazz music, but my favorite jazz artists are all like dead of heroin overdoses or committed to mental asylums. And this was like a lot of groups that I wouldn't call jazz. And then I was like, well, at least the headliners, the Roots, will be good. And I've seen the Roots before, and this time watching them, it just sunk in that I'm just watching the Tonight Show band.
Yeah.
So that it was like a really, really disappointing concert experience.
Well, I guess now they have to kind of be a little more PC and stuff since they're on the Tonight Show and everything, right? So
Yeah.
it's like it's very different.
Yeah.
Is there anything from your past that you regret?
Oh yeah, for sure. Lots of things.
Do you
Lots
know
of
what
things.
your life purpose is?
No.
What's the happiest memory you have?
Oh, my son being born for sure.
What's your worst fear?
Drowning, I think.
What's the most important lesson you learned in your last relationship?
Oh, does that count? Does current relationship count?
Yeah, that counts too.
There's like so many lessons you learn when you're in a relationship. But I think like just how to like, one thing it took me a while to learn is just like how to hold yourself within the relationship and be like honest to yourself, and be open and available. Because when I was younger, you kind of try to augur and change aspects of who you are just to make things easier, but it's never easier in the long run.
I agree. Are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm an introvert that's a situational extrovert, and like by that I mean like I'm not good at meeting people the first time. I'm not good at meeting people in general, but like if you know me, I won't stop talking, and I won't say I'm the life of the party, but I'm gregarious, and I mean you've probably witnessed that.
Oh
so.
yeah, you are the life of the party, dude. Definitely.
I don't think that's your place to say. You're
We don't
JP
feel it.
Slouch.
You don't feel that you are, but you totally are, man. Like, trust me. Yeah. But anyway, who or what inspires you?
Oh, yeah, so many people. Like I have a lot of heroes. Like right now, I'm a huge Guided by Voices fan, so I'd say like right now, Robert Pollard, the frontman for that band, inspires me, because he's like a diarrhea artist, which is kind of what I aspire to myself, and by that I mean he's just constantly putting out art, putting out music, and with the only motive seeming to be that his own what he likes. So he's not motivated, it doesn't seem, by success or money. It's more just about, I like this, I have a need to make it, a compulsion to make it, and I make it and put it out there. So that and like a filmmaker that I admire, that kind of I feels in the similar vein, is Steven Soderbergh, who just like consistently is like 1 or 2 movies a year, different genres, different formats. Some are big, some are small. It's just, I admire those people that are like seem to have brilliant minds, but they're always producing without having the calculation of not thinking everyone has to like this doesn't have to be everyone's cup of tea. So people like that.
Yeah, very ballsy people, I call them.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, what is your greatest strength?
Oh, great strength. Jeez, I don't know. I think feel like I'm on a job interview all of a sudden, JP.
I know, yeah, right. That's what I call quick shot.
I think the greatest strength is I think I'm like a little bit like water, like I'm fluid in that, if I'm with a group of people and I don't see there's a place for me, I'm fine to flow a little bit further away. Or if I'm in a dynamic situation that calls for one thing or the other, I'm kind of like, I feel like I have a suppressed ego, and I'm happy like kind of fitting in where I fit in. If I'm by myself, I can entertain myself. If I'm in a group, if I'm with a group of friends for dinner, I'm the guy who's like happy to wash the dishes, make sure everyone has drinks, things like that. So, I think my strength is I'm amiable, easygoing, and fluid.
That's a great
Maybe that's
strength to
it.
have. Yeah.
Or it could be push-ups. I'm good at push-ups.
Lastly, what do you think of our current younger generation?
I haven't met a lot, but from those I have encountered, and I've encountered, I'd say more like people on Twitter and stuff. But the people I have encountered, I have high regard for. And you know, I'm at that point in life where people who are teenagers or at 20 now seem kind of alien to me. But I think what they do is cool. What I love about, you know, I grew up, and I think you did too, in the 80s, 90s, and there was a lot of like grinders, thrivers, you know, yuppies. It was very like materialistic times, I feel like. But when younger teens I've encountered now, they seem to have almost an anti-materialistic, anti-capitalist ethos. They seem, you know, like I'm pretty down with like all the woke stuff, all the social justice stuff. So the qualities in the younger generation I admire, is, you know, the ones I've seen just seem more punk rock. Like they seem to be collaborative, help each other out, and not be driven by capitalism. So I don't know if that's the case for the whole swath of these people, but I think it is for at least the ones I've encountered, or maybe the majority of them.
Well, man, thanks for taking the time out for going 4 drinks deep with me, man. It's good to see you again and all that, man. Like, definitely stick around after the call here, and we'll catch up and everything. But
are you closing out?
I'm closing out, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you right back. That weird 40-minute thing, you know.
Oh shoot! You don't have like, you didn't get yourself?
No, I'm
like, a
cheap,
premium
man. I'm
thing,
too
man?
cheap. I'm too cheap.
We can't close without telling like a roommate story though.